Hi, I'm Kat. I'm an amateur artist and I'm going to show you my method to paint semi-realistic art. It's an easy method that I found like 3 weeks ago, and I've tried it several times since and it kept getting better and better. So I hope it's gonna work for you, and let's get into it. First, you're gonna need a sketch and to fill your sketch with the base color. So this is the sketch that I'm gonna use for this tutorial, and now I'm going to look for a lighting reference on Pinterest. So I just scroll until I find something I like, and this is the reference that I'm gonna use for this tutorial. It's a basic Rembrandt lighting, and I'm going to just copy the light from this reference to my character on this drawing. So for the shadow, I'm going to add a multiply layer on top of my base colors, and I'm going to fill it with some grayish purple, or sometimes blue, depends what mood you want. I will just show you the color that I picked for this shadow, and then I erase the part where the light is supposed to be. Then I blur some edges, I refine the shadow a bit until I think it looks good. I also erase where the light is hitting the shadow. I'm gonna erase it with an airbrush so that it's not super contrasted and it looks a bit more natural. And this is all I do for the main shadow. It's very easy and quick to do, but it's a very important step. The next step is gonna be shading. And for that, I'm going to use an awesome tool made by William. It's a 3D head with a rotating light. You can adjust it to whatever you want. So I'm going to make it match the light that I've already painted on my character. And it's basically going to help me with all the midtones, the highlights, everything, like all the small shadows you paint inside the shadows, basically. So yeah, the head is my guideline, and I reproduce what I see from the head. I don't copy everything though. I only reproduce like all the main shadows, or like all the ones that I think matter, like eyelids, all the nose shadows, the forehead, under the mouth, the jaw, stuff like that. But I don't paint everything. Don't paint the main shadow again, because we've already done that. And if you struggle reproducing all the shadows from the 3D head onto your drawing, you can sketch all the outlines of the shadows from the 3D head onto your drawing. That's what I did at the beginning, and it works. And then you color them, just like a coloring book. Then I blend the shadows, and I mostly blend with a blurring brush, but you can use any blending brush you like. So this is going to be our base, and now it's already time to render. Before merging the sketch with the color layer, I like to do two things. First thing, I like to add a overlay layer and to airbrush all the skin parts that are going from shadow to light, if it makes any sense. Like where the light is hitting the shadow on the skin. And I use a red or a orange color for that. And the second thing I like to do is to add a multiply layer and add some shadow in the areas that I think should be darker. So like in between the skin and the hair, for example, or in between the skin and the clothes. And I do that with the airbrush too. And I feel like these two things are really making the skin look better. It looks more semi-realistic, if I could say. And after that, I merge the sketch with the color layer. I rarely merge my multiply layer, the one with the shadow on, with the other layers, because I just like to have it on a separate layer. I think it's more convenient if you need to change it. But if you want to merge it with the other layers, it's fine. During the rendering phase, it's important that you pay extra attention to the features of the face, like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. They are usually very detailed in semi-realism. Usually the eyelids are drawn, like the top eyelids, but the bottom eyelid as well. The lips are fully drawn. The nose is detailed. You have the tip of the nose, the nostrils, like the edge of the nose, stuff like that. So it's important that you pay attention to these details if you want to achieve the semi-realistic style. It doesn't have to be as detailed as the League of Legends artworks I'm showing you, but it needs to be a little detailed. And if you don't know how to render, I'm planning on making a rendering tutorial next. So if you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe. When I'm done with the skin, I'm gonna do everything over again for the other parts of the drawing. So this time it's gonna be a bit harder because there's no 3D head equivalent for the other parts of the drawing, so you have to use references to know where to place the shadows, the highlights and all of that. If you're unsure where to place them, you can also use 3D models. CSP has 3D models that you can move, and you can move the light so that it can give you like some idea of where to put the light and the shadow. But I think it's not super accurate, so I would recommend using references instead. I used to be very bad at painting clothes, but it's because I never actually took the time to check how professionals were painting them. And once you do that and you just look, analyze and try to reproduce what they do, it's going to be a lot easier, because you're going to start to like memorize where some shadows are. You're going to see some patterns, and it's just going to be easier to paint clothes in the future, or like not only clothes but just everything. Also, something that I find really useful is to have a folder of professional references. Like I have 2 folders full of artworks from League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra, and I always have them open when I draw. And whenever I don't know how to draw something, or like I'm struggling on something, I just go to the folder and I scroll through all the images until I find what I want. And there's almost always going to be what I want. It's just very easy. It's super accessible references of high quality. So if you don't have a folder full of references, I highly recommend you do that. And that's all I do to achieve this semi-realistic look. So to summarize the process, first you need to draw your main shadow using a reference. Then use the 3D tool that is linked in the description to get all the midtones and highlight of the face right. Then you add some light and shadow effect with overlay and multiply, and then you render everything. So I hope it was useful. Don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, and see you next time.